2018. 2018. 2018. Just more waiting. I've been doing nothing but waiting. For this generation of consoles, when are they going to finally deliver? Well, I'm here now, so... If you must know, one of my most anticipated games coming out next year is Marvel's Spider-Man, exclusively for the PS4. While I wait for Q1 or Q2 of 2018, here's things I want to see in Spider-Man PS4, the video game. Unlockable or downloadable costumes are a gimme, but which costumes from Spider-Man's long-lasting history do I want to see? The suit from the MCU movies would be a nice start, or how about the suit from the first Raimi Spider-Man film? I'd also like to see Scarlet Spider-Man, the suit from the Ultimate Comics, Spider-Man Unlimited, mainly because I'd like to see the cape animated, and seeing its numerous movements in-game would be a neat bonus. The original designed by artist Steve Ditko with the web glider would also be great. The last two I want to name off is the Armored Spider-Man and Captain Universe. Now, the reason I left off the black suit is because we don't know if this Peter Parker has had contact with the symbiote yet, and if he has, I wouldn't want the suit in the game personally. I'm well aware he has a homemade black suit to alternate with, but my opinion still stands the same. Same goes for 2099, as I'd rather see a full game devoted to Miguel O'Hara, and Miles is probably going to be a major character in the sequel if they make one. Okay, so we already know Aunt May and Mary Jane are in the game as far as I know. But what about the rest of the game's cast of characters? Well, it's not known yet, so I'm going to name off who I want to see. The Daily Bugle staff is a start, but I really doubt Peter's still working for Jameson at this point. Okay, well, how about other superheroes? This isn't related to the MCU movies at all, so there can't be licensing issues. I'd like to see Spider-Man interacting with Daredevil or Luke Cage. Punisher would also be cool. Moon Knight, anyone? The one I'd like to see the most is the Fantastic Four, seeing as they're the ones with the most history together. After all, in The Amazing Spider-Man #1, Spider-Man crossed over with the team. They've crossed over numerous times in the comics, and it would just be neat to access the Baxter Building. References to the Avengers, Hulk, and X-Men would also be cool too. The main villain for this game is an interesting choice, because usually it's the big three that take the spotlight. The Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Venom. But instead, Insomniac chooses Mr. Negative. Okay. I don't know a lot about Mr. Negative, but I'll roll with it. It's something different. It's something new. Seeing as Insomniac is shaking things up villain-wise, I'll do the same and follow their lead. Villains like the Beetle, Hammerhead, and the Hobgoblin have only been utilized once each. And even those are technicalities, seeing as the Hobgoblin was only utilized as a variation of a 2099 villain in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and the Beetle sort of had a cameo, I guess, in Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, but he actually got a boss fight in Ultimate Spider-Man. So, in all, outside of technicalities, these villains have only been utilized once each, so this would be the perfect time for Insomniac to use these villains to differentiate themselves from the other video games in Spider-Man's library. And we may face off with the Kingpin early on in the game due to an interaction that Spider-Man has with him on the phone in the E3 2017 footage that we saw earlier this year.
Hey, Willie.
You.
Nice jumpsuit. Slimming.
Stay out of my business.
Wait, the demons. Who's their leader?
Keep my men alive and maybe I'll tell you.
The Spider Slayers would also be a nice addition along with Mysterio and Scorpion, who haven't been seen in a video game in years. Or how about a string of missions where you're on Chameleon's trail? I'd like to see that. The Peter Parker side of the game has me curious. Are we going to be taking photos for Jonah, giving lectures as a teacher, or roaming around a lab? Whatever it is, we better be able to take Mary Jane on dates, having access to Peter's apartment, and the ability to deliver pizzas. I'm kidding about that last one. But the thing I'd like to see is Peter's struggles and his superhero life intertwining with his regular life. After all, those are the things that made us care about the guy under the mask in the first place. As of right now, this is definitely the case. Aunt May is working for a shelter owned by Mr. Negative, so we'll see where this goes. It'd be cool to see Spider-Man interacting with citizens just like in the movies and comics. It's a very unique relationship. Some compliment him and his selfless acts, and some don't like Spidey as much. I'd like to see Spider-Man interact with specific citizens, ones that he's already formed a relationship with, and they've had a history together, or I don't know, talking to random citizens would be a good additional feature. I'd like the map to be alive with NPCs having conversations or doing different types of activities. New York is diverse enough to do those type of things. Guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I want the map to be as detailed and varied as GTA 4. Filled to the brim with Easter eggs and Marvel landmarks. Which segues to the next thing I want to see. Avengers Tower, Oscorp, the Baxter Building, the sewers infested with the Lizard's experiments, Midtown, and the Daily Bugle. Come on. I know you want to see these landmarks. Sure, you're going to have the obvious landmarks like Empire State Building, Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, but it's the Marvel landmarks you want to see. Enough said. Collectibles is nothing new in Spider-Man games, but it is worth having in this game, as it just gives an arcadey feel. With so many games trying to be as realistic as possible nowadays, having collectibles being in this game would be a nice callback to the old days. Also, collecting comics for those who don't know the character outside the movies is a nice way for newcomers to brush up on the webhead's history. Who knows, you may learn something new. Ultimately, I just want this game to be good. I want it to live up to the hype, to stand high among the games that came before it, and really a game that pays respect to Spider-Man's long history of comics. That's it for today's video, and if you have any ideas that I didn't talk about in this video, then feel free to comment them. Anyway, I'm the Master Quests, and thanks for stopping by.